losing weight by counting calories can be a miserable experience. It can be quite time consuming and a lot of work to count those calories. It can be so frustrating, feel so restricted, you may feel hungry all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, calories do count. However, we don't necessarily need to count them even in order to lose weight. How? Well, by eating certain types of food, we may feel more full and thereby naturally restrict our calories. And yes, that means it's actually possible to eat until you're full and still lose weight. Hi, I'm Ingunn, a Norwegian Viking living in Canada. I have a master's in physics and mathematics, though my real passion is nutrition and living a healthy, active lifestyle. So I use all that critical analytical thinking to analyze studies and research on nutrition and healthy lifestyle so that I can bring the no BS truth to you in a simple way. Now, there are several issues with relying on counting calories. One of them being that it can be quite inaccurate. The amount of calories found in each of the foods that you eat may not be very accurate. Plus, the amount of energy and calories that you burn throughout the day is also not a very easy thing to estimate. And what you really want is to eat fewer calories than you burn, right? But if it's difficult to know how much you burn and also not that easy to have an accurate answer, an accurate number of how much you eat, consume, then that equation becomes a bit like inaccurate. Another issue with counting calories is that a calorie is not just a calorie. It really depends on where that calorie comes from. If a calorie is just a calorie, then eating the same amount of calories on two different diets should have the same effect on our bodies, right? Well, in a previous video, I showed a study that showed that it's possible to burn up to 326 calories extra per day only by eating a certain type of diet. So you may eat the same amount of calories, though choosing which foods you eat can actually make you burn more or less calories. And there are quite a lot of studies that compare the effects of different types of diets on weight loss as well. So they compare, for instance, a low-fat diet with a low-carb diet, where the people participating in the study eat the same amount of calories. However, they end up losing different amounts of weight. Of course, the amount of weight that people lose depends on their own body and their composition and all of those things. However, if you have enough people that are randomly assigned to each of these diets, the average should pretty much be the same if a calorie is a calorie. However, that does not seem to be the case. For instance, there's a study from 2003 where women were randomly assigned to either a low-fat diet or a very low-carb diet. Even though they were eating about the same amount of calories, the women on the very low-carb diet, on average, ended up losing more than double the amount of weight compared with the low-fat diet group. So this is, of course, a pretty big reason why counting calories may not be the best strategy, because a calorie is not just a calorie. It really depends on where that calorie comes from. Plus, of course, if you just continue eating the same food, you just eat less and maybe exercise a bit more, sure, you might lose some weight. However, you're probably going to feel pretty miserable doing it because you're eating less food, which probably means you're eating until you're not full, so you're still hungry when you stop eating. And if you're exercising more on top of that, exercising makes you feel more hungry as well. So you're just making yourself feel hungrier and eating less at the same time. That does not sound like something I would want to go through, at least, and it really is not even necessary in order to lose weight. Now, one way counting calories can be useful is to compare with yourself. So you can compare if you ate more calories today compared with how much you ate yesterday, and also whether or not that fluctuates throughout the week and the weeks moving forward. Now, if you choose not to count calories, you may be wondering how to actually make sure you don't overeat in this case. And we'll get to that. However, I do want to remind you to click that subscribe button and turn on notifications to be notified whenever I post new videos with all sorts of no BS truth and practical tips for weight loss, fitness, and healthy lifestyle. Now, the secret lies in what you eat. By eating certain types of food, you may be less likely to overeat naturally. And for this, there are certain things to keep in mind. For instance, eating a diet high in protein and nutrients in general can help you feel a lot more full and satiated and naturally help you to stop eating before you eat a ton of calories. I made a video specifically about this, so check it out. I'll link to it in the description of this video. Another thing to keep in mind is that real food can be way less addictive than a lot of the processed food out there. Fries are very easy to overeat. However, boiled potato is not very easy to overeat. Chicken nuggets can be quite easy to overeat. However, chicken breast, pure chicken breast is not easy to overeat. One thing that we humans find very tasty is fat and sugar, or fat and carbs together, like donuts or the French fries that I mentioned earlier as well, or even the chicken nuggets, as they are usually fried as well in oil. In nature, it would be pretty difficult to eat a diet that's both high in carbs and fat at the same time. So I think this is a kind of sign that we shouldn't really be eating a lot of these foods. So limiting the amount of those foods that you put on the plate can really help to make you not get too addicted to the food and easily overeat. The idea here is that instead of counting calories and focusing on how much we eat, we should rather focus on what we eat. So what we actually put on our plate, and by doing that, if we choose the right foods, especially real food, we're way less likely to overeat. Especially if that food is very nutrient dense. If it contains a lot of protein, especially protein from animals, because that contains a lot of other nutrients as well, such as vitamins and minerals. Actually, from the study that I mentioned earlier in this video, where there were two groups of women, one on a very low carb diet and one on a low fat diet. In the very low carb diet group, they lost a lot more weight, more than double the amount of weight compared to the low fat diet group. Actually, only the low fat diet group was told to restrict calories. However, the very low carb diet group was allowed to eat as much as they would like. However, they naturally restricted the amount of calories that they ate. Very likely because the diet was actually satiating. It made them feel full, and therefore they didn't need to eat as much. However, a low-fat diet is quite known to leave you hungry. Now just note that when I say real food, I don't necessarily mean food that's not tasty. I don't necessarily mean a ton of salad, for instance, which a lot of people would associate with losing weight. There are lots of examples of real food that can be tasty as well. For instance, fish, grilled chicken, other meats, eggs, squash, potatoes, soup made of broth, etc. Now, I believe that if we focus on eating real food that's highly nutritious, that will actually satisfy us to the point where we don't need to or feel like overeating, and we can naturally lose any excess fat that we might have and maintain a healthy lifestyle, I think it's way more likely that even after we lose the weight that we might want to lose, we actually maintain that lifestyle, because we don't feel like we're suffering here. We don't feel like we're restricting ourselves and starving ourselves. And if we eat foods that are actually tasty as well, we may really actually truly enjoy it. Building a truly enjoyably healthy lifestyle is what I believe is the best method to both lose weight in a healthy way and also maintain that weight loss afterward, because you're building a lifestyle here. You're not just losing weight and then going back to whatever you used to do previously. Now, as we've just seen, counting calories may not be the best idea when it comes to losing weight. And it's just one of the many things that we're told when it comes to weight loss that is highly flawed. I mean, we're usually told to exercise a lot, eat less at the same time as exercising a lot, and also to eat a low-fat diet. And from what we're just in here today, even a low-fat diet may not give the best results when it comes to weight loss even. Plus, of course, it really matters what you eat, not just how much. As we've seen, a calorie is not just a calorie. So if you're interested in learning more about the no BS ways to lose weight rather than the more conventional advice, then I suggest you download my free guide called 3 Reasons People Fail at Dieting. Hint, it has nothing to do with exercise or lack of commitment. This is a great guide to start to understand how a lot of the advice we're given may really not be the best when it comes to losing weight and also living the best possible healthy lifestyle. So check it out. It's free to download. Just go to vikingingunn.com and download it there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye.